Assalamualaikum everyone. I hope you guys are doing good. I am currently in the middle of moving places, so this is going to be my studio for a while. So starting off in today's video, I want to talk about a branding project and the processes that we had for them. The brand is Visual Ritual, and I'm going to go in detail in terms of what the project was, what were the initial concept that we presented, and what was the final concept that was shipped to the client. The main thing that they sent us was their very first logo. But the whole idea about the project was that Visual Ritual is supposed to be a community space that focuses on art direction, set design, and content creation, because the space was founded by Mir Anwar, who is actually a wedding photographer. In a lot of the cases, I would start with like a mood board and then kind of take it from there. But with this project, we thought that instead of like going with a mood board, we can just directly go with like presenting a few options. So this is the logo that the client sent to me. He was like, I made this by myself using like a phone app and I really like this and I want you to take it, kind of refine it. And when I personally saw this, I realized that there is no refining that will go here. It's more about like, because there's so many problems with this current thing in terms of readability, in terms of the spacing, it's just chaotic. So I was like, let us kind of think about like how we could refine this. So the first version was just taking the same concept and really refining it and giving it more structure. And this is what we came up with. And I kind of wanted to pair this up with this geometric shape, and the idea was that this shape was a geometric shape which kind of had this essence of South Asia to it, but also it kind of represented what the place Visual Ritual was holding. So community events and workshops, installations, events and design spaces, and content creation studios. And then it all came together calling it the Visual Ritual. And I made a few mock-ups, and then I also came back to a visual like this. I was like, listen, if you still want to add like a cool effect to it, like this glitch art thing, you can still do that, but we need like an original logo that we're experimenting with. The glitch art thing can't be the main logo. So this was the first presentation that I did, and I really don't expect the client to give me a feedback right away, because even before like presenting them, first is like the onboarding meeting, which is you're like kind of understanding the brand, asking a lot of questions. Now this one especially is like, okay, we took your brief and we're presenting you this. So then came the second one. With the second one, I was like, okay, this is how I'm kind of really imagining Visual Ritual, where there are like two sides of it, and this is the font that I went with. I wanted something playful, which is paired up with Monument, which is something a bit more stable and extended. And I presented him some concepts in terms of like a tote bag and how the brand could be coming together in terms of some keywords and just how the wide spectrum of the color palette would look like, and then just some beautiful cards to really sell the idea. The idea was to have bring in a lot of colors, because the place was supposed to be open for creatives. And then the third one was this. Now I know with this one, the previous one, I'm going a bit more like playful with the visual text, as you can see, and even with the color, but this one I wanted toned down. I wanted to go a bit more premium, and this is what I presented to the client. And you can see that even though visual looks premium, but it's very experimental at the same time, and Ritual has this very beautiful finesse to it. And this was like another version of the same logo, but the idea that I wanted to kind of present was that there are two worlds, like the visual and Ritual, like coming together, and like this Visual Ritual is like the representation of it. This was the color palette. I really love this neon green, as you've seen. And then I presented like a secondary color palette, which was a bit more lavender, mint, and pink. And I even took a photo from his space and made like this visual and a website mock-up, and that was it. So these were the first three presentations that I presented with him. So for the very first visual, his feedback was that he really likes what the shape is holding in terms of value, but he really doesn't like the visual translation of it, like, because for him it was like it reminds him of Aga Khan Hospital in Pakistan. So I was like, okay, but he did tell me that, okay, I want to see like a motif, like a South Asian motif, or like an element that kind of represents as an icon for the brand. But the second one, he didn't really say much. He felt like this was a bit too loud and there's a lot going on. I was like, okay. And with the third one, he was like, I really like the typography, especially for the Ritual. And he's like, I don't like the first color palette, but he really loved the second color palette, right? So in this process, what happened was that I could really refine things now. That gave me an opportunity to understand, okay, he wants a geometric shape, and then he really wants this color palette. So for me, in my like in any project, I just have like a checklist, right? I'm like, oh, color palette check, typography semi check, and some other things. So after this, I went back, I worked for like a week, and I was like, okay, now let's connect. And usually when I'm presenting these brands, I always do it on a meeting. Don't just send like JPEGs or like PDFs. I personally think get the client in a meeting, talk to the client, explain him your process. I was like, okay, so he really liked this geometric shape. I worked on another one and I presented him this. So I know that he was really enjoying this kind of typography, which we have over here. So I was like, okay, but he wanted a bit more premium feel. So this is the type that I went with, and this was the icon for it. And this is how you can see it in different feel, and we're using the color palette that he really likes. And the idea was that I was using this blank square in the middle that kind of holds a lot of value for different types of events and things that the place is planning to do. So this kind of becomes like a blank canvas in this very interesting like shape, right? Which kind of also talks about that, okay, they're creating the space, and this icon is a space where like a lot of random things could happen in the middle, and the color palette, and then some few shirt concepts. So this was the thing. So when I presented this, the client was very happy. The client loved what we were doing. And then he had some feedback to like, okay, how he wants to see this go to the next level. And now this is where like, you know, we are kind of just removing doubts and just like, you know, marking more things. So at this point, he really liked the icon, but he was not sure about what's happening in the middle. He wanted to see like how the shirts are evolving and all of that stuff. So I was like, okay. Now I went back, it took another week, and we made the final presentation for the brand. Okay, let me show that to you. So after presenting the final concept, it really made sense of like what's working or what's not working. And this was the final presentation that we showed to the client. Our main logo, and then talking about the three elements: minimalist, community, experience, and our main icon, which is going to be our Instagram icon or our favicon for the website, our final color palette in terms of all of the values, the font that we're using, our primary font, our secondary font, and then some business card mockups, some mug mockups. Now you can see that we are presenting some patterns over here. This is a water bottle mockup, some shirt mockups, and you can see like how we're kind of really owning the idea of these shapes and all of these coming together, and like basically breaking down our main shape into smaller shapes. And that's what we're kind of coming with. And the client specifically requested he wants like these labels for like shirts and some labels for, so these are like price tags, some labels, some social media posts. And I wanted to kind of just, you know, show him like, okay, if we are using this for social media, what's like the best possible way to do it. Some nice Instagram stories, more posters, and yeah, that is pretty much it. So, and this is live, and the client has been using this. And the best thing was that once we kind of shipped the whole project, like we send a Google Drive with all of the assets, with the AI files, the EPS, the SPG files, like everything that the client should have when they're working with any agency for a branding project. The first thing that the client did was he made this tote bag, and I absolutely loved it. And you know, it's very amazing to just see your design, or not just on a mock-up but on a real thing. So I think the main thing that I wanted to kind of talk about was that whenever you see like a final design, it feels very overwhelming to like, okay, damn, this looks really cool and the presentation is amazing, or the Instagram carousel, or like the Behance presentation. The main idea is that you need to understand like how did the designer really get to that point, and for us to work with the client and go through this whole process of understanding that, okay, because sometimes we get these briefs which are like not really direct, so we realize, okay, we need to work around with the client to get the brief aligned first, and then we present some initial concepts, and from those initial concepts we play collage. We're like, okay, this color works, this type works, and then we make it, you know, push it all together, and then we take it to the next level. So this was Visual Ritual.